April Fools! Hey guys, YouTuber 100 here. Alright, and today it is April 1st, which of course is April Fool's Day. And I figured in honor of April Fool's Day, I would make like an April Fool's Day related review. And yeah, and I decided that I would review the SpongeBob April Fool's Day episode, Fools in April. So, yeah, this episode was during the first season of the show, and it aired on April Fool's Day in 2000 was when it originally aired. Yeah, yeah, and this episode, it's a pretty funny episode. Yeah, to my knowledge, I think this is the only April Fool's Day episode they've done on the show. Yeah, I know like there have been like quite a few Nickelodeon shows that have had like an April Fool's Day episode. I know like Keen and Kel had an April Fool's Day episode, and Fairly Odd Parents had an April Fool's Day episode, and I'm sure there's like some other Nickelodeon shows that have had April Fool's Day episodes as well. But yeah, of all like the Nickelodeon shows that have had April Fool's Day specials, I think this one is probably my favorite one. It is definitely the one that I have seen the most. I mean, I've watched this episode like so many times ever since it aired like 20 years ago today. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it is a pretty funny episode. Yeah. The premise of what this episode is about is that, yeah, it's April Fool's Day, and SpongeBob is like, yeah, SpongeBob is pulling like a bunch of like April Fool's Day jokes on everyone. And yeah, and then yeah, Squidward is just like very, very annoyed with it because yeah, it said in this episode that April Fool's Day is apparently SpongeBob's favorite holiday, and so yeah, Squidward does not want to be like around SpongeBob on the day. And even like after like SpongeBob pulls an April Fool's Day joke on Squidward, he promises not to pull any more. And Squidward is like coping with it, but yeah, Squidward just gets annoyed at like all the April Fool's jokes that SpongeBob is pulling on other people, and then finally just Squidward gets so annoyed with it that he just pulls his own April Fool's Day joke on SpongeBob. But yeah, his prank ends up like going way too far, and it's really more wrong and not funny. So yeah, and then yeah, it just like ends up like really hurting SpongeBob, and even everyone else really has shown that like how much of a jerk Squidward was for the whole thing. And then yeah, and then it results in like Squidward realizing that what he did was wrong, and then he has to apologize to SpongeBob for what he did. And yeah, but it's so hard for Squidward to do it because he's not used to apologizing. And so yeah, Squidward like can't actually like bring himself to say he's sorry, that he tries to do it in other ways without actually saying it, but then he eventually just ends up like the guilt just gets him so much that it finally just like forces him to finally say he's sorry. And really, that's just what the premise of this episode really is. It's just really about like just a Squidward like really getting annoyed with SpongeBob, and yeah, he pulls his own April Fool's prank on SpongeBob, but it goes too far, and then Squidward just sees how wrong it was, and then he has to apologize. And yeah, that's pretty much just what the premise of it is. So yeah, I mean, it is just another just normal episode of the show. It's only like just the regular 15-minute episode, so yeah, it's not like a feature length episode, but yeah, it just is like a normal episode. But yeah, it is still like a pretty funny episode, and I do think that they also like do a good job in this episode of showing like what actually is appropriate and what's not for April Fool's Day, and what is like actually like what are appropriate jokes and what really does go too far, like what Squidward does to SpongeBob. So yeah, so it is overall, I guess, a pretty good episode. But I mean, yeah, chances are like if you like SpongeBob, you have seen this episode, so I don't really think I really need to actually recommend it. So, yeah, but yeah, it still is overall a pretty good episode. I mean, yeah, like I said, it is probably my favorite Nickelodeon in April Fool's Day episode because, yeah, like I said, several Nickelodeon shows have had April Fool's Day episodes, but yeah, I think this is probably my favorite one. So, yeah, so yeah, and that pretty much really just talks about pretty much covers the episode. So yeah, I guess I'll just go through like the premise. Just like go through like what happens in the episode. Yeah. So As the episode starts, SpongeBob ends up waking up, and yeah, he tells Gary that they're gonna be moving and becoming peasants as an April Fool's Day joke. Yeah, at first he takes away Gary's food and tells him that peasants only eat mashed up clamshells, and then when Gary starts crying, SpongeBob then reveals it's just an April Fool's Day joke and gives Gary back his food. Yeah, and then SpongeBob ended up pulling just a April Fool's Day prank on himself, saying that he was thirsty, and he poured a big pitcher of lemonade into a bunch of glasses, and then after he filled all the glasses, as he said that he couldn't wait to drink all of them, and then he just said April Fools to me. Yeah, and then as SpongeBob was laughing as he was heading to work, Squidward then just saw how happy SpongeBob was, and then he realized that the day was April Fool's Day, and so yeah, like I said, he knew that April Fool's Day was SpongeBob's favorite holiday. So Squidward tried to uh, call in sick to work. But yeah, as he was on the phone with Mr. Krabs, Mr. Krabs was saying that there was an art collector in his office that wanted to buy Squidward's art and name him Artist of the Month. So then Squidward immediately rushed to the Krusty Krab to meet the artist. But then yeah, SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs then revealed to Squidward that it was an April Fool's Day joke. Yeah. And then yeah, Squidward was then about to quit his job, but then yeah, SpongeBob then promised Squidward that he wouldn't pull any more April Fool's pranks on him, and so then that's when Squidward then agreed to stay as long as it wasn't him. Yeah, but then throughout the day, SpongeBob was still pulling April Fool's pranks on other people. He was pulling some pranks on the customers. There was an old lady asking for a fork, and SpongeBob told her the forks were where the spoons were as an April Fool's joke. Yeah. And then at one point, as SpongeBob was behind the register, or taking a customer's order, he tricked the customer into thinking that when the customer has back turned, somebody else was taking over the register. Yeah. And then there was another guy that asked for some ice in his drink, and he asked for a couple ice cubes, and then SpongeBob put in one as an April Fool's joke. Yeah. And then SpongeBob just ended up laughing so hard that his tongue ended up falling out of his mouth. Yeah. And then yeah, SpongeBob was just laughing so loud and so hard it just got on Squidward's nerves so much that Squidward finally just snapped, and so Squidward then just decided to show SpongeBob what a real prank is, and so then yeah, Squidward ended up setting an elaborate trap by having a rope tied to an anchor, yeah, and he had a lasso ended up set up on the floor, and Squidward ended up squirting a blob of mustard in the middle of it, and then he pointed it out to SpongeBob for him to clean up, and as SpongeBob was cleaning the mustard up, then Squidward then shouted April Fools and cut the rope and dropped the anchor, and then grabbed SpongeBob by the feet and then just pulled him all over the place, and yeah, SpongeBob just ended up falling into a bunch of stuff. He got pulled into some bags of flour, and the flour ended up going everywhere. Yeah, and then yeah, SpongeBob then also ended up getting pulled, and he just splattered right into one of the walls. Yeah. Yeah, and then SpongeBob then was pulled towards another customer, and then hit the customer right in the butt. Yeah, and yeah, all of it was going on, Squidward was just laughing at it, and then yeah, SpongeBob then ended up flying right up into the ceiling, and as SpongeBob ended up coming down, yeah, Squidward was saying that he was gonna catch him, but then yeah, as SpongeBob was falling down, Squidward ended up putting a trash can in the way, and SpongeBob ended up falling into the trash can, and then yeah, Squidward ended up then just dumping SpongeBob out. And then just said, April Fools, you little sausage. And yeah, Squidward was laughing, but yeah, it physically and emotionally hurt SpongeBob. And then SpongeBob just broke down crying and ran out of the Krusty Krab. Yeah, and yes, Squidward was just trying to tell SpongeBob that he was just kidding, and even all the customers were disgusted with what Squidward did as well. And yeah, they were all sympathizing with SpongeBob. And yeah, one customer said that Squidward had some issues to work out, and then all the customers ended up just walking out. And yeah, one guy then just said to Squidward, April Fools, jerk. And somebody else then shouted, you stink, yeah. And then yeah, Squidward then was still like trying to say that it was just a joke. And then when Squidward like saw like all the damage that he caused, then Squidward then just like saw that what he did was wrong and that he had to apologize to SpongeBob. But yeah, Squidward couldn't actually like bring himself to say sorry, even like as he was just like saying that he had to tell SpongeBob he was sorry. He just like couldn't actually say the word sorry or apologize. And as he went to SpongeBob's house to try to apologize, then like he's then noticed like the Krusty Krab hat behind him. So Squidward thought it was SpongeBob and went over to talk to him. But then it was like revealed it was just Patrick Digging wearing the Krusty Krab hat for some reason. And then yeah, Patrick told Squidward that SpongeBob was in the house and was impressed, and it must have been pretty good to make him cry like that. Yeah. And then Squidward then like went back to SpongeBob's house and then like was trying to say he was sorry, but of course he couldn't actually say sorry. He just like kept tongue tying himself whenever it came time for him to actually say the word sorry. Yeah, and then yeah, it was just so hard for Squidward to do it that he just like tried to find an easier way to do it. So yeah, he tried other ways to apologize without actually saying sorry. He tried to write a note saying he was sorry to SpongeBob, then putting it in a bottle, but SpongeBob couldn't open it without a bottle opener. Yeah, and then there was another one where yeah, Squidward tried to tell SpongeBob through a phone, like one of those like can phones with a string attached to both sides. Yeah, with, like, two cans with a string attaching them to each other. Yeah, and Squidward then tried to tell SpongeBob sorry that way, but yeah, it showed that SpongeBob couldn't hear because yeah, it showed that Patrick was flossing his teeth with the string, and you just heard like a scratching noise. Yeah, and then Squidward then like was went back up to SpongeBob and said, "I am," and then he put like a bubble, his head in a bubble when he said sorry. And yeah, SpongeBob obviously didn't hear it, but yeah, Squidward was just like saying, had the mindset that since he did say sorry, even if SpongeBob didn't hear it, his conscience was out clear. And then Squidward started to walk away. But then yeah, Squidward then and still had like the memories of like what people were saying, like what Patrick was saying about must have been pretty good to make him cry like that, and the April Fool's jerk, and then another one from his own mother, who the one that said "you stink," yeah, and then that's what like then motivated Squidward to finally go back and actually make the real apology. And Squidward actually said he was sorry and said that he liked SpongeBob and everyone else that he has to spend his life with. Yeah, and then and yeah, then Squidward then just like told SpongeBob that he has to promise not to tell anyone, and SpongeBob did promise. But then yeah, he opened up his door, and then it showed that there was like a whole bunch of other people in there, including like Patrick, Mr. Krabs, Sandy, yeah, and people like that, and they all just shouted "April Fools" to Squidward. And then Squidward was just so flabbergasted, he was like having an embarrassed laugh, and his eye was twitching. And then yeah, Squidward and then just saying that it was April Fool's and that he fooled them all. And then yeah, Squidward just was like laughing hysterically and running back to his house. And then yeah, then it just ended with SpongeBob saying, "What would we do without Squidward?" And then that's how the episode ended. Yeah. So yeah, just like I said, I mean, it is a pretty funny episode with like some of the stuff that does happen in it, and it also does like send that message about like what is appropriate and what's not appropriate for April Fool's pranks. So yeah, like I said, I mean, I don't really think I need to recommend it because chances are like if you watch SpongeBob, you have seen this episode. So yeah, I don't really think I need to make the recommendation. But yeah, still, I do think it is a pretty good episode. And yeah, like I said, it is probably my favorite April Fool's episode of any Nickelodeon show. So yeah, overall, I do like it. All right, so yeah, so I guess that's all I can really say about it. So yeah, so I guess this does it for my review of the SpongeBob April Fool's Day episode, Fools in April. So yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this review and stay tuned because I do have some more stuff coming as well. So yeah, but I hope you guys did enjoy this review. So thanks for watching, April Fools, and I'll see you guys later.